And we welcome those of you who watch Houston win at home against Iowa State. Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw in the jungle. Number 1 Auburn off to a rollicking start here on its home court against a Georgia team which is looking for its first ever win against the number 1 team in the country. Todd Pettiford tracks down the loose ball and fires, and Chad Baker-Mazara stepped on the end line. Georgia has been off to an abysmal offensive start, just 1 for 10. Meanwhile, after a slow start for the Tigers, Janai Broome found a couple of looks. He's got 4 of their 13 points.
Yeah, they've gotten some good looks in the half court, especially against man-to-man, but Georgia's mixed up a little. Matchup zone has caused Auburn to slow it down a little bit in the half court. I think Bruce Pearl's probably going to go back to just running some of his man-to-man looks.
This is a Georgia team which is playing its 7th game this calendar year, 7 out of 14 against top 10 opponents. They have been through an absolute gauntlet. It continues with number 2 Florida up next. But for a team on the bubble, a huge opportunity for the Dogs. Fadeaway bank shot with the left from R.J. Godfrey for his first bucket.
He's a pretty good finisher. He can do it over either shoulder, and that time got a nice angle to kiss it off the glass. They're going to need some of that point production outside of just the guards.
Second matchup this season between the two. Georgia fell at the buzzer against Auburn earlier this year. Blue Cane has knocked down a 3. Miles Kelly has 5. This is a Georgia team. It started the game 0 for 7. And on that last possession, Auburn's Chaney Johnson picks up his second personal foul. Where is Georgia's strength in the half court?
Well, I think you want to get some ball screen action right here with Demery and see if you can get him going downhill. 3 threes already for him. He's been settling a little too much.
Deep 3 off the back of the rim for Kane, who has one of 2 field goals made by Georgia here in the first 7.5 minutes. Tonight, Broome directing traffic for Pettiford and instructs the freshman to pull it out. To the high post and the lefty Broome. 10 to shoot. Broome harassed by Godfrey. Handoff to Denver Jones. Now 4 to shoot. Jones into the paint. And it's knocked away. Georgia with a chance to push. Silas Demery Jr. with the lob and a 2-hand flush finish by Justin Absent.
Well, I think Auburn simply forgot the play. There was mass confusion in the half court. Guys didn't know where to go specifically on that play. Maybe with Chaney Johnson picking up that second foul, not the lineup you expect for Auburn right now with Chris Moore at the 3.
Bruce Pearl may call more plays than any coach in college basketball. We'll see where he wants to go on this one. Pettiford, the freshman point guard, gives it up to Jones for a contested 3 to barely raise the iron. 2 empty possessions for the Tigers. A kick by Cardwell, and that'll send us to a timeout on the floor. Bruce Pearl's team number 1 in the country, but Georgia looking for its first ever win against number 1, and the Dogs coming alive of late.
Education that serves humanity. To our creed that's inspired generations of the Auburn family, keeping us grounded, yet groundbreaking. You'll find us at the forefront of every challenge, building intelligent systems, resilient communities, and a safer, healthier tomorrow. Because when the work of the world demands the best and brightest, it will find them right here.
With this team when they get repetition and right.
Two of the greatest to ever lace them up.
It's Saturday primetime in a Sunday showcase doubleheader on ABC.
Let's take it back to January 18th, top 25 showdown. No Janai Broome for Auburn. Todd Pettiford led the Tigers with 24 points in Athens. Asa Newell had 16, kept Georgia in a game that went to the wire. Jumper miss in the corner, and then with time on the clock, Asa Newell misses this putback, and Georgia was that close, just 1 bucket away from getting its signature win. Welcome courtside, Tom Hart alongside Dane Bradshaw. no mistaking what's in front of Georgia right now. A huge opportunity to try to move off the bubble and into the tournament.
As a competitor on the bubble, you don't care who you play, where you play them. You just want the opportunity. And right now it happens to be on the home court of the number one team in the country. But their opportunities are dwindling away. This is one of two what I would call resume-changing win opportunities for Georgia left on the resume. This, and then they have Florida next. So is it a tall task? Yes. But keep in mind, this is an Auburn team that has been played close at home. We saw it recently against Arkansas. Tennessee's taking them down the wire. Can Georgia keep this thing close late and see if they can pull off a huge upset?
But Auburn great in close games. 6-0 in games decided by 5 or less. Second tip is good from Justin Epson, who's already doubled his season average here this afternoon. Also of note, here in this building, Auburn has won 55 of its last 59 games. Home court advantage is made first and foremost by talented teams and buttressed by the great crowd support. Auburn's got both. They've got the number one offensive efficiency team, not just in college basketball this year, but as long as Ken Pomeroy has been tracking. And a miss there, but some empty possessions for Auburn after they went on a run a couple of minutes into this game.
Despite all those impressive offensive numbers, they've been pretty stagnant the last 5 or 6 minutes, slow to get in their sets.
Absent with the step through, left it short. Here's Chad Baker-Mazara. He started this game after coming off the bench the last couple. Has been banged up and dealing with various injuries. Bruce Pearl does a fantastic job of keeping his stars fresh, and that was the goal with bringing Baker-Mazara off the bench. And after the miss, Georgia foul. Bruce Pearl, 224 career wins here at Auburn. That's the most in school history. And a resume this season that is unmatched. But as you pointed out earlier, before most of our audience joined us, they haven't wrapped anything up yet.
They're still playing for number one in the SEC, the overall number one seed. While they aren't focused on individual awards, Bruce Pearl playing for National Coach of the Year, Janai Broome, National Player of the Year. And I do think Coach Pearl has gotten some separation in that category, considering what they've been able to do in a historic SEC night in, night out.
Dane Hudson follows his own miss. He had made a bucket since February 1st.
He came in and played really well when Janai Broome was hurt in their first matchup, gave them some big minutes on the road against Georgia.
Here's Dylan James, picks up his dribble. Newell is the star for Georgia, 5-star freshman. Gives it to Blue Kane, who gets downhill and then rejected by Broome. And a step on the inline by Kane.
Well, you see the ball pressure by Auburn. They are really trying to heat up the four-man.
They corrected that call. Sorry, it'll be Georgia basketball. They said Broome stepped on the line after this block.
Probably the right call. I thought Kane did get hit on his way to the basket. Kane's got to be a double-digit scorer in this game. Demery, Asa Newell, you expect to get double figures from both of those guys for Georgia, but they really have to have that third scorer, whether it's Kane or perhaps Dylan James, 13 in red, who's capable as well.
There's LaFew, step back at the end of the shot clock, and that one will go out of bounds over the top. 15-10, Auburn with the lead, despite the fact that the Tigers made just one of their last 7 shots. (24-2) overall. Losses only on the road at Duke and at home against protege Todd Golden in Florida. Broome fights for the rebound. It's out of bounds and will go to the Dogs. Georgia has been right there, seemingly in just about every game this year. The last couple of losses for Mike White's team have come after halftime leads to both Missouri and Mississippi State.
Tom, they've really got that, their best win, that neutral site win against St. John's, that continues to pay off the better St. John's does. And they've won the games they're supposed to win, but they just got to clip a couple games that maybe they're not, including opportunity right in front of us.
Newell couldn't finish, and the loose ball ends up in the Dogs' hands. Godfrey steps over Hudson who gets whistled for the foul, and we'll see R.J. Godfrey going to the free throw line.
Bruce Pearl upset. He thought Hudson got fouled on the loose ball opportunity. His guys were diving for it right here. Let's see as Hudson goes down. Typically, they try to not allow people to pile on that loose ball. And then Georgia opportunistic with some of the sloppy play there.
And so to the free throw line is R.J. Godfrey, who's shooting 60% from the floor over his last 4. After playing for Brad Brownell at Clemson for 2 years. Coming up next here on ESPN, number 17, Kentucky goes into Tuscaloosa, face a floundering Alabama squad coming up a tough loss midweek to Missouri. And then that Mizzou team coming off a huge win plays its second of the year against Arkansas at 8 o'clock, and we finish out west, BYU and Arizona as BYU tries to keep the good vibes going after their demolition of Kansas.
And what's interesting about that Alabama team, it feels like the same as last year where they limped a little bit into March. They weren't defending well. Their rim protection wasn't there. Yet then they started playing their absolute best at the right time. See if Nate Oates can repeat that magic they had a year ago.
First ever trip in the Final Four. Lots of banging inside. And finally, as Broome turned to get the shot up, the whistle and the foul against R.J. Godfrey.
Georgia okay playing one-on-one in the post with Broome. And Broome does such a nice job of just playing at his pace and his pace only. He really does not get sped up.
Pardon me, they got Blue Kane for that foul, not Godfrey. Don Daly trying to play peacemaker. Teams that know each other well. Auburn does a fantastic job recruiting the Atlanta area. They have since Bruce Pearl and his staff got to town. And a foul will send Chaney Johnson to the free throw line. It's a 5-point Auburn lead, number 1 in the country, the best team in Auburn history.
And oftentimes, it's a late growth spurt, and they were playing guard their whole lives, and so they already had those guard skills in them before they moved to the post. And Janai Broome has brought that to this team that really can play three-point guards on the perimeter with guys like Baker Mazzara, Denver Jones, and Tahad Pettiford, and you throw Broome in down low, and you got a high IQ team.
The other one for Chaney Johnson, and he missed them both. Rebound by Blue Kane. Dane Bradshaw, when's the last time you bought a ticket to a college basketball game?
I said if. It was hypothetical. It's kind of like
that if is doing a lot of lifting.
They're not the same player, but it's kind of like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan wasn't the most exciting MVP, but he was still the best player on the best team.
And as productive as innings, shot clock is at 8. Georgia just won for its last 7, and a foul way out in front goes against the Dogs. And it'll take it the other way. That'll be the third turnover of the game for a Georgia team. He's just 4 for 20 from the floor.
Well, they're going to call the illegal pick right here before the blocking foul on Chaney Johnson. And so there's really 2 fouls on the play. One happened before the other, and I think that's the correct call. Got to be set. Can't throw those forearms out into the defender.
Yeah, that extension is probably a clean screen.
And that would have been 3 on Chaney Johnson. They called it the other way.
Well, the offense is stuck in the mud right now. Denver Jones from deep will clear him out. That's his first triple, and Auburn's up by 8.
And now you've got 3 shooters in the game against some of that zone.
And Georgia gets out of the rut with the nice lob and finish, and Surreal fouled on his way in.
Surreal really jumps off the screen, doesn't he? I mean, this guy is just an absolute monster. Look at this athlete running the core, able to get this thing high in the air, off balance, gets a little shove, finishes and one. Just a freshman, but 6'11", 260. Known for his shot blocking, but I cannot wait to see how this guy develops over the coming seasons.
Four-star recruit was at overtime elite in Atlanta last year, and he rolls it home. Georgia has not played an efficient offensive game yet on the road against number 1, only trailing by 5. Georgia in its basketball history has never beaten number 1, 0-20 all time. Baker Mazzara left it short. Cardwell tracks it down deep in the corner. Broome wanted the lob. Instead, Denver Jones has set it up. Demery guarding Broom. Kick to the corner. Baker Mazzara for three. And Broom another offensive rebound and foul on the putback.
And that right there just shows you his value against this zone. Not just a big man. He is a point center down low. An excellent skip pass. And if the teammate misses, he's there to clean it up. I mean, he's got terrific vision. We see this game in, game out. And then he does his work from there, taking advantage of the undersized guard, trying to hold him up.
Lucky he didn't hurt his knee as he went down. I was talking to Janai after shoot-around today about his passing, and he said, listen, there's two reasons my assist numbers are up. Number one, my guys are knocking down all sorts of shots on the perimeter. That certainly helps. He said, number two, I know where I'm going with the basketball even before I get it, so I've been so much more decisive instead of just pounding it into the ground and dribbling on the block and looking for somebody to come open. I get it, and I distribute immediately. Part of that's got to be about the offensive game plan that Bruce Pearl puts together for him.
Yeah, we asked Coach Pearl, how many times down the court are you play calling? He said, as many times as I can. And I think that leads to greater percentages on the shooters. When you're getting the ball where you expect, psychologically you are ready and prepared to make that shot. And they've done an excellent job playing through Broom and for him as well.
Auburn with a little full court pressure. Dakota LeFew, transfer from Mount St. Mary's, one of two transfers from the Mount. Now running the point for Georgia Salas Demery. Here's Kane off the screen. Little late getting it to LeFew. The result is a blocked shot. LeFew tracks it down. Shot clock at 6. Kane didn't see it. Clocking now 4. 3 to shoot. Kane unaware. 1 to shoot. Passed it. And a shot clock violation. Blue Kane never saw the shot clock.
Well, that all starts with the ball pressure that Auburn has really brought 1 through 5 when Georgia's trying to operate their offense. And they just don't have a lot of blow-by guys. Georgia doesn't have great speed on the perimeter. And you can't be a good shooting team if you're not a good passing team. You got to deliver that thing on time or on target, or that's the kind of result that can happen when he's catching an errant pass.
Auburn just 35% from the floor. They came in to today, and as most of the season, quick shot from Broom, the #1 offensive efficiency team in all of college basketball in the history of the Ken Pom staff. And a shove in his second push-off for Santos Surreal.
He's got to learn from the first one. This is the correct call. You're big enough. Just hold your ground. There's no reason to throw these forearms at the defender. This is the second time that this has happened. You're there. Get your feet set, and you don't need to do that extra check. As Baker Mazzara baits him into it.
6'11", 260. That's quite a roadblock. The two illegal screens charges Surreal. Here's Pettiford, guarded by Kane.
I do think this zone for Georgia has been a good look for them defensively.
Kelly had to corral it, but couldn't. Look at the first row, and an Auburn turnover, just the second of the game for the Tigers. They do a fantastic job using Bruce Pearl's words, valuing the possession. Only 9 turnovers a game for this Auburn team.
Well, let's see if Georgia can get inside the three-point line. I can't remember the last time they've gotten a paint touch in the half court.
And the film study today for Auburn showed clip after clip of Georgia getting downhill and getting to the rim. They shut off the water for the most part. Kane fade away after the foul by Kelly, and he'll go to the free throw line.
Nice job by Kane. Just using that jab step. Got a little bit of separation, drove left, played off 2 feet. That's what you got to do against this ball pressure. You're not going to be able to just swing it around the perimeter.
So Blue Kane to the free throw line. 85% shooter at the stripe. One more coming for Blue Kane. Here's our NBA Saturday primetime game on ABC and ESPN+. LeBron and Luka lead the Lakers against the Joker and the Nuggets. Coverage sits with NBA Countdown, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Lakers are 1-2 with both Luka and LeBron on the floor at the same time this year.
Fitting initials, LeBron and Luka, LAL on the promo.
Luka since the trade, 15-7. Not exactly the production that he had prior. Injured in his first game with the Lakers. Pettiford Bird left it short on the shot from Kane. I said he was a good partner. That was LeBron who missed that first game. And now Broome for three. Got it. Johni Broome has not been shooting well from deep. Just 2 for his last 12, but that gives Auburn an 8-point advantage. Well, the Georgia passes are not crisp. Newell for three. Rebounded by Miles Keller.
Just zero penetration on that end of the court, and Auburn switches on the perimeter, and that makes it even tougher for them to run their offense.
Here's the freshman Pettiford. Big time matchup with Silas Demery guarding. And same with Broome and Newell. Veteran versus rookie. Broome off the mark.
And Tom, I tell you, I mean, after that 9-0 start by Auburn, Georgia's been able to hold their own. Just got to try to cut into that lead some if they can get anything going on this end of the court.
Johni Broome, Player of the Year candidate in all of college basketball, comes in averaging a double-double, 18 and 11. The only thing missing, deep shots, and Johni Broome has knocked down 1 of 2.
Yeah, but if Georgia can't score, forget it. Yeah. I mean, they're 1 for 8 from 3. They've got to be able to put some points on the board. They haven't taken advantage of the stops that they had going to the zone. That's going to be an issue for Georgia if they can't score.
Tom and Dave will get you updated on everything going on, plus Joe Lunardi's latest bubble when we see you at the half.
Mike KC, thanks. Well, here's what Joe had coming into today. Number 1 seeds, 3 of them from the SEC. Auburn, Bama, and Florida, with Duke there as the third number 1. Tennessee had a huge win today against Texas A&M. They're the first 2. Houston, Iowa State, and Wisconsin. 2 of those 2 seeds lost today. But what a win for Tennessee, 77-69 at A&M. Chaz Lanier erupted in the first half, made his first 5 threes and finished with 30.
And how about that dagger 3 from Zakai Ziegler late in the shot clock on the road? We saw him do it at Texas earlier this year and then again at Texas A&M.
Wisconsin lost at home to Oregon despite John Tonji going for 22. Here's Auburn on the run. Layup no good. Auburn has struggled at the rim in this game. Georgia's interior defense has kept them in the contest.
You're exactly right. They've got terrific rim protection. They were terrible in that regard last year, and they fixed it in the offseason.
Floater good for Silas Demery, and the super sophomore gets his first bucket of the game. But Auburn, to finish that point, is just 3 for 9 at the rim. Their first 2 shots of the game came at the rim, and Dylan Cardwell was blocked both times. Broome touch pass outside to Keller.
Turned one down, didn't he? That was open.
And so he takes a contested one over LeFew. White shirt's in for the rebound, Chris Moore.
That's now 7 offensive rebounds for Auburn. Got to be one and done on this possession if you're Georgia.
Demery able to clean up the glass. Tigers 1 for their last 9. And a bump out front. Charge to Tahad Pettiford, the freshman point guard.
I like the aggressiveness by Demery. They're just not going to be able to swing it around the perimeter because the ball has to be in his hands. Everybody on the court right now needs to be set up to score, except for Demery. He's the one guy that can penetrate on his own, get that paint touch. Even if he gives it up, you got to find a way to get it back in his hands later in the possession.
So Georgia now in the bonus. Silas Demery Jr., 83% from the free throw line. Mike White has done a tremendous job on the recruiting trail of the high school kids. He was a 4-star recruit who had originally committed to Southern California, but misses the front end of a 1-on-1. The lefty Broome back out to Cardwell. It's a scoring drought now exceeding 2 minutes for Auburn, the number 1 ranked team in the country. 5 to shoot. Pettiford tried to dump it off. Broome in traffic gets fouled. Pick a dog on that foul.
Shows you the good hands by Broome as well. Pettiford just has such speed and an extra gear, gets to the lane, and that is a tough pass for a big man to catch, yet Broome makes it look so easy in traffic.
That's a second on R.J. Godfrey. So here's Johni Broome at the free throw line. 2 for 2 already today. Dogs' next game is part of the SEC Network's Tuesday night doubleheader, and another huge opportunity for Mike White's team. They get his former team, number 2 Florida, in Athens at 7 o'clock Eastern. We'll be in Baton Rouge for number 6 Tennessee at LSU. Big doubleheader for the best team in college, best league, I should say, in college basketball this season. The SEC will likely set a record in NCAA tournament teams this year. Georgia certainly hoping that record extends and includes them. Asa Newell's been quiet today. He had 23 last time out. Goes to his right and shoves it in.
Well, Cardwell is just a brick wall down there, but Newell has such quick, explosive, great lift that he gets up and rises over the top, gets a good clean look at the rim.
Gives him 15 a game, but so far only one made bucket for Newell this afternoon. He's got 3 points.
Auburn has missed the screener step-in. They usually get near the logo.
Broome with the drop step, easy deuce.
Yeah, that's too easy. You know he wants to come back to that left hand over the right shoulder. That's his go-to spin.
That might be the only time in this game we've had consecutive buckets on either side, and Georgia ends the run with a Dylan James offensive foul.
Just really nice D here. Baker Mazzara slides those feet, and you put that forearm out. Again, the ball pressure and the lack of separation. You got to know you're dealing with a left-hand player. You just can't force him back to that side. That's easy money for Johni Broome.
90 seconds to play in the first half. Georgia has turned it over 7 times and has only 7 made field goals. Pettiford finds Baker Mazzara. Floater off the back of the rim. And Demery knocked it out of his teammate's hands. It stays with Auburn. Pettiford off balance. Cardwell fights for it, and Kane finds it with 1:07. Georgia trying to finish the half with something positive offensively. It's been a horrendous offensive performance so far. They're on pace for their season low in the first half that they did against South Carolina State in the last game of 2024. Broome, fade away. Cardwell board. Another opportunity. Baker Mazzara logo 3. Tom Amansky would not put this offense on his teaching videotape. It has been poor on both sides, to put it nicely. Pettiford commits his second.
If you're Georgia, if you can get away being down 7 or less and get into halftime, you will absolutely take it. But their offense is just putting so much pressure on their defense.
The funny part is we had a long talk with Mike White last night at Georgia practice about how they had to redo their halftime routine because the second half starts have been so bad. They'd be lucky to have one of those starts the way they played in the first 19 minutes. Demery's got another one.
I got to think their second half is going to look better than the first half despite the recent trend. But you see, and a lot of this has to do with Auburn's game plan. The pressure on the perimeter and the lack of explosiveness by multiple guards for Georgia. Again, Tyron Lawrence out with that ankle injury. He's a guy that can kind of get to the paint on his own. But if you can be down 5 going into half, you will call that a win. However, it takes special to win against number 1 on the road. Right now, Mike White's Georgia team hadn't been special enough, but they've hung in there and kept it close despite an inefficient offensive first half.
26-21. Georgia getting its points from the free throw line. Down 5 late first half. Unfathomable how tough this Georgia schedule has been. Since the calendar turned to January, the Dogs have played 14 games. 7 of them have come against top 10 opponents. This is their 5th road game against a top 10 opponent. That's the most in college basketball. They have 0 losses outside of the first quadrant. And they have opportunities still to come. But as of now, Lunardi has them outside the tournament.
Where would you rather be? A bubble team that has a lot of games they're favored in, but a loss ruins your resume? Or a bubble team with a ton of quad 1 opportunities, 1 win might get you in? That's where Georgia is right now with this SEC schedule.
2.5-second difference, game clock and shot clock. Broome has scored the last 8, so they turn to Baker Mazzara. Why not? His first bucket of the game. Clock at 3. Demery got it! A huge bucket for Silas Demery Jr., and Georgia only trails by 5 despite shooting 30% with 7 turnovers.
Big-time bucket by Demery after a nice shot by Baker Mazzaro, but sort of a transition. Even though it was after a make, he really got his feet underneath him. Finally gets his first three-pointer to go of the first half for Demery. Big-time shot.
Neither offense efficient in the first half. They're both at under 31%. 29-24 Auburn to the studio. Here's Kevin Connors. Concerned, Auburn coming in had only faced a zone on 12 possessions all year, and Georgia had only run zone on 8.5% of their possessions all year. Why not throw a wrinkle? The question is, has Auburn figured an answer out yet?
And what's interesting is Bruce Pearl has done this before to Mike White. It was on the road at Georgia, I believe, last season where Auburn surprised the Bulldogs with some zone looks. And here's Mike White returning the favor. Halftime adjustments, but like we talked about, start of second halves have been the Achilles heel recently for Georgia. They must get off to a great start if they want any chance at pulling off this upset.
Part of the wrinkle to start the second half, Mike White said, I will find somebody that didn't start the game to start the second half. That is Justin Abson, who offers a screen for Silas Demery. Mike White had a list of 7 different things that they were going to change at halftime, and they've been practicing them all week. Demery challenged on the 2, left it short. Here's Blue Kane, and he's fouled. Missouri scored on its first 10 possessions of the second half last time out. The scoring margin in the second half, the last 2, Missouri and Mississippi State, is minus 41. Mike White went so far this week in practice as to stop practice midway through, run to the locker room, tell everybody it's halftime, now let's go back out for the second half. Part of that was tongue-in-cheek, and everybody kind of rolled with it and had fun with it, but it's absolutely a mental hurdle for this team.
No, it is, and he says really as long as he can remember as a coach, the first 3 minutes of halftime, the team meets on their own, the coaches meet on their own, their separate ways, then they come together. He said, I'm scrapping that, we're going to meet together right away. He goes, got to try to do something to just change the trajectory of our second half starts.
Meanwhile, poor shooting percentages for both teams, the 4th worst combined in an SEC game this season. Broom, the lob, Cardwell the finish. First bucket of the night for Dylan Cardwell.
Well, and they always run a great set play out of halftime, does Auburn, and that was a thing of beauty there. Hit the 5-man, get the lob on the backside.
Here's Kane. Gives it up to Demery. They get a block touch for Abson, who got hit in the face. Three fouls in the first 90 seconds for Auburn. As far as Newell is concerned, tough sledding at the rim. He came into this game 10th in the country with 51 dunks. Not bad for a freshman. 6'11", 5-star, and 2 for 2 from the line. Auburn has never trailed in this game. Dogs stay with the zone look. Baker Mazzaro, the blind speed, and Broom, better lucky than good.
Yeah, I mean, he was going to throw the lob, but I don't know if he changed his mind or it was just a bad pass that went in, but Auburn had success now getting Broom right there in the middle.
And Broom, better lucky than good.
Yeah, I mean, he was going to throw the lob, but I don't know if he changed his mind or it was just a bad pass that went in. But Auburn's had success now getting Broom right there in the middle of the zone, letting him be that point center against that zone defense.
That's the adjustment the Tigers have made against Georgia's zone look. Newell working on Broom. Off balance from underneath the rim.
Really good man-to-man defense by Broom there, staying in front of his.
Hesitation move. Jones blows all the way to the rim. Cardwell nearly committed his third, and then Baker Mazzaro commits one. Abson has 6 points. He has tripled his average output, and he's going to the free throw line.
This is a really important play for Georgia. Auburn was getting some momentum, and you were starting to see some of those defensive second half lapses to start games. And then Abson, an unsung hero, did not think he would be 6 points getting the start in the second half, but he's played really well for Georgia so far in this one.
Abson with a 3-point play. 2 years at Appalachian State, he was a 7.7.
That this staff does is these players know what minutes to expect. He's got it on the whiteboard. Here's who's starting. Here's how many minutes you're getting as a reserve. Guys that aren't in the rotation, be ready to come in if so-and-so gets in foul trouble. So everybody's on the same page with defined roles.
Near steal by Baker Mazzara. He's picked up technicals in each of the last 2 games. And Auburn's season was upended in the first round against Yale last year when he was ejected from the game with an errant elbow. 8-point Auburn advantage. Baker Mazzara gambles. Here's LeFew open from 3. Dogs can't take advantage of it.
They made the right read. You called it. Baker Mazzara took a chance, doubled, and snuck away from the corner, and Bulldogs could not make him pay.
Poor pass from Broome. Went into Kane's arms. 3-on-1 for Georgia. Now Demery Jr. And he gets that one to go. He closed the half with his first 3. Now he's in.
Miles Kelly, he comes around to fill behind the penetration, attacks and drives that closeout, gets himself to the rim, knowing they want to drive him off the 3-point line.
Let's take you back to Chad Baker Mazzara being fouled on this 3-point shot by Dylan James. It resulted in 3 free throws, and then Cardwell came over to Dane Bradshaw and says, he can't guard me. There's Dane.
Wait, what's up with him? But here's my point on that. As he says, he can't guard me, and he's looking away from the opponent. Auburn fans, you want him to just shut up. Do not get text. Stop doing this stuff. But it's a process. I see improvement where you see a fault. He didn't look at the opponent and say, you can't guard me. He looked to the scorer's table and said, he can't guard me.
It's
two
an evolution.
Different things. That's okay. That's not going to get you a tech. I think Auburn fans should applaud his effort and say, baby steps. Way to go.
Well, 2 guys who know what it's like to play for Bruce Pearl. You played for Bruce at Tennessee, and Chad Baker Mazzara. Now another year under Bruce here at Auburn, and some time on the exercise bike before he re-enters. Low-scoring game for Georgia, and the Dogs turn it over. They turn it over on 24%, 23% of their first half possessions. Baker Mazzara getting some oxygen, and was it Skittles? Going Marshawn Lynch on the bike?
This guy loves the camera.
But what a wonderful exchange we had with him after shoot-around today. He just beams with positivity, and I gotta be honest, it's completely different than the Chad Baker Mazzara that you see as a viewer if you're not wearing Auburn glasses when you watch him play. Tonight, Broome foul.
And he talked about how unselfish this team is, and they don't really take many what Bruce Pearl likes to call my turn shots, kind of that selfish basketball, because he grew up playing point guard his whole life. But they've got so many other point guards that are pass first, unselfish players on the court that he knows when you pass it and give it up, you got a good chance of getting it back, or the next possession will come to you. It allows you to let the game come to you the way this Auburn offense has done all year long.
Broome on his way in gets fouled again. Baker Mazzara, by the way, a couple of different stops. San Diego State, Duquesne, Northwest Florida State before coming to Auburn. And Janai Broome will now head to the free throw line after the 3rd on Santos Surreal.
But as good as this Auburn offense has been, if you're Mike White and you say, hey, 15 minutes left in the second half. You've held Auburn to 37% from the field, 29% from three, and they're only 6 of 10 from the strike. You'll take that all day long. It's just, can they get consecutive makes followed up with some stops for Georgia to cut into this lead? Remember, this was a 9-0 game to start. Since that slow start by Georgia, they have been right there and more with Auburn.
It's Georgia basketball. Don Daly is going to want to talk about it with Patrick Evans. He saw it differently. Those guys in the shades disagree.
I'm not sure they can claim they had a better look with their sunglasses on inside the arena.
Could have been off of Chris Moore.
Might have been. I think so.
My cousin Corey Hart made that song very famous in the 80s. Here's Silas Demery running the offense for Georgia. Just 30% from the floor in this game. 10 for 33.
How can they get Demery or Kane downhill?
That's how they do it. Kane with the layup.
Surreal did a great job just sealing off the post down low, opening that driving lane.
5-point deficit for a Georgia team that nearly knocked off Auburn at Stegman Coliseum back in mid-January. That was a 2-point Auburn escape. As the Dogs got a couple of looks with 5 seconds to play. Denver Jones off the broom screen. Shuffles it out to Kelly. And the three's off the back of the rim, and then Kelly tracks it down, and he gets Kane to commit the foul in the fight. It's the second on Blue Kane.
Tom, let's take a look at how they're able to get the penetration. Keep an eye right here. He is going to seal this man off, and that's what's going to open up this driving lane for Blue Kane. It's a hard post up that really is set as a screen to keep Johnson coming over from providing any rim protection, and just a blow-by on the on-ball defender, getting Georgia the easiest two they've had all game.
Coincidentally, I used the same move last night to keep you from getting that bacon appetizer at Akron.
Yeah, and your alligator arms for the check.
Yeah, it's quite a combination. Baker Mazzara back on the floor, wants a touch. Jones, late in the shot clock, fires up an air ball, and Broom barreled into the opposition. It ends up with a Baker Mazzara three. 8-point Auburn advantage, and a whistle on the inbound, and a foul against Denver Jones, his third.
Baker Mazzara, right place, right time. You'll keep an eye on Janai Broom at the bottom of your screen. He's got the mismatch down low. Demery just can't collect that defensive rebound. The awareness of the shot clock winding down. Big time shot there.
Second three of the game for Baker Mazzara. It is physical. Surreal going downhill. Fouled! And he's going to the line.
This guy's upside is through the roof.
Here we go. Here we go. Baker Mazzara in the middle of it with Silas Demery Jr. Don Daly will send the teams back to the corners. They're going to go to the monitor and check it out. Bruce Pearl all the way out to midcourt to get his squad. This is an Auburn team that runs in the red, led by Chad Baker Mazzara. There have been times emotions have gotten the better of them. And you could argue it's the one blemish on this sterling resume.
Well, and Tom, I'm not sure what all happened there as they review it. And we'll take a look.
One thing that did happen is Chaney Johnson committed his fourth personal. That's an issue for Auburn.
It is. He's been a mismatch nightmare, but that time he gets taken to the rack and one after
Kane.
the fact.
Sorry.
Following
There's the bump from Demery into Baker Mazzara, and then Jones locked him up.
It seemed to me like Demery is the one who initiated that contact and came into Baker Mazzara. And who knows, maybe that's part of the scouting report of, hey, maybe I can get under his skin with a little bit of bump. Second guy typically gets caught. See if you can get a key player out of the game.
If it's not part of your scouting report, it should be, given Baker Mazzara's history.
And I'll get on my coaching soapbox. For all players out there, like, there's a difference between a competitive attitude and a winning attitude. Every player on here doesn't want to get punked. They get frustrated, and you're competitive. You want to fight back. but can you be selfless enough to resist the temptation of putting your team in a bad situation, getting a tech? That's what a winning attitude is. You've got to back away and let the other team get the tech, not you.
It started with Demery and Jones trading paint coming down the lane, and Baker Mazzara got caught in the middle of it.
If Baker Mazzara was not a repeat offender, I don't think we're focusing on him as much right now. And I do not think he was in the wrong. If you had to rank guilty parties on that play, I think he's towards the bottom.
Don Daly, head of this three-man crew with Todd Austin and Patrick Evans.
I'd be okay with a no call on all of it, honestly. I think they got into it. They pushed a little bit. No punches were thrown. Nothing above the head and neck.
Yep.
I'd be okay with a play on and bring the guys in and tell them to calm it down. The next one's going to be an F1.
And Chaney Johnson, one way or another, will have to take a seat with his fourth personal. He's been one of the most efficient offensive players for Auburn over the last 5 games.
Doesn't Baker Mazzara's face look like a guy that's outside the principal's office again? He's like, man, I swear, you got to believe me, man.
It was humorous that when he got teed up against Arkansas Wednesday night, it was simply for popping his jersey, but the officials missed the trash talk a couple of possessions before when he hit a shot against Arkansas and then told their entire bench about it. So you're right that it's often the second time you get caught, and there's a reason you're always outside of the principal's office.
Yeah, he's under a microscope. He's always the one that gets caught, it seems like, but when you're a repeat offender, that seems to be the case. And he's sitting here laughing like, man, I swear they're out to get me, y'all. It's like, well, you've developed a reputation. But in this case, I'm with you, Baker Mazzara.
I mean, the friendliness, the smile, the positive attitude, it belies the guy who gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar time and again.
And the truth is, he doesn't make it this far in his career without having that edge, chippiness, and excitement to play, that competitive spirit. Mike White said in a post-game recently, he said, look, I'd be okay if the frustration boiled over. If anything, I want my players to get a little bit more frustrated. Let me reel them in. Let me make sure that losing hurts them extremely badly. And I think you're seeing that competitive nature from Georgia right now that you got to take on the road.
The word we're getting is that there will be offsetting technicals. Here's Don Daly.
After review, we have multiple technical fouls. Red 5 and red 6 technical fouls. Also technical fouls on white 2 and white 10. Those are offsetting technical fouls. We will play at the point of resumption, which will be the free throw by 6 red.
So that is the second personal on Demery, the fourth on Surreal. For Jones, his fourth personal, and Chad Baker Mazzara charged with his second. So foul trouble as a result, even though they are offsetting. Bruce Pearl is getting all sorts of red face at Don Daly based on the adjudication of the offsetting technical fouls, 4 in total.
If you're Georgia, I think you come out with a win on that. I think Georgia was the party that initiated it to begin with. There was some retaliation, and the officials felt like they would offset, but at the end of the day, you got Denver Jones, who's coming off of the SEC Player of the Week. He got a National Player of the Week award for his two-way performances, both offensively and defensively, now in foul trouble.
This happens at the 13:45 mark in a 6-point game. The original personal foul was charged to Chaney Johnson. And that's why Surreal is at the free throw line. One shot for a 46% free throw shooter. If you're looking for a positive from an Auburn standpoint, this incredible student section is all bought in now if they weren't earlier.
And this is a big moment. We've joked a little bit about Baker Mazzara and the reputation and emotion, but right now he's got to be thinking nothing but positive plays for his team. Don't let this emotion get the best of you.
Here's Baker Mazzara working with Broom. Floater falls off. Asa Newell with the rebound. Push ahead for the Dogs. Kane keeps it alive and saves it to Cardwell. And a lob pass nearly hit the scoreboard. Boom! The left hand together! Assist to Baker Mazzara. Hockey assist to Cardwell. Silas Demery Jr. off the mark. Cardwell secures the rebound. On that dunk, Janai Broome collected the 77th double-double of his career. His 41st in an Auburn uniform, and over the last 25 years behind only Oscar Tshiebwe and Glenn Big Baby Davis in SEC play. Shot clock at 5. Kelly for 3. Baker Mazzara finds it.
He's been asking for a sub, yet the ball comes to him, and now he's got the energy to go at the defender.
He needs more Skittles. Smell an NIL deal in that category for Chad Baker Mazzara. Auburn has extended the lead to 9. Demery dumps it off. Newell fouled on his way up. He gets off the floor quickly.
Well, Baker Mazzara has really responded well since that technical, and the shot fake there to get the defender in there. You got to try to be the second guy off the ground if you're the defense. And the play prior to that or 2 plays prior, the no-look pass to Broome on the breakaway to get this crowd to erupt here at the Jungle.
Newell has made 4 in a row from the free throw line. Second best prospect in Georgia history behind Anthony Edwards. He tied Dominique Wilkins with 26 points in his freshman debut. Best in Georgia history. 2 for 2 from the line. 7-point deficit for Georgia.
A really big lineup for Georgia. A lot of length. Dylan James at the 3. They want to use him in multiple spots. Does Mike White try to keep Auburn uncomfortable? Right now he's at the top of this zone.
Bruce Pearl said expect something different from Georgia this week. They had plenty of time to get ready for this game. They had the opportunity to rest and present some wrinkles. The zone is the wrinkle. Here's Broome. Plenty of time. Splashes it home. 19 for Broome and a couple of threes. It's a 10-point Auburn advantage. Largest lead of the game for the Tigers. Contested 3 is good from Asa Newell right over the top of Janai Broome. He's into double figures.
That was a monster shot for Georgia, not to let this thing get away from them. Down 10 on the road. Got to try to silence the crowd. Huge shot from Newell.
Since those 4 technicals, Auburn has outscored Georgia just 7-6. Neither team was able to take advantage. Broome rejected, but picked up the foul, and they're going to count it. You say it was goaltending? Todd Austin came through from the offside and punched home that it would count. Regardless, when we return, Janai Broome will be at the free throw line. Dylan Cardwell started this break by stealing it from Blue Kane. The lob pass touched from Baker Mazzara to the National Player of the Year candidate, and then he splashes one in from deep.
Yeah, in the second half, Auburn has been great at finding the potential National Player of the Year, the ball against the zone, and then Newell says, hold on, we're not done yet. Dogs fighting for their tournament lives here on the road.
I'm looking up to the heaven.
Home on campus, 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. All games available on the ESPN app. They waved off the basket. It was originally called goaltending, and so Janai Broome has 2 shots instead of 1. Todd Austin had the whistle. Anytime there's a foul, the officiating crew can protect themselves in those moments. You call goaltending, you go to the monitor, no harm.
Yeah, if they don't call goaltend, it's not reviewable. So by calling it, it allows you to correct it either way.
Broome 1 of 2 from the line. Big win on the bubble for Vanderbilt. Won at home against ranked Ole Miss this afternoon. Oklahoma, another bubble team, knocked off Mississippi State by 6. Georgia running out of runway. A turnover, 3-on-1. Pettiford kept it. He had Broom. And the freshman picks up the foul, will go to the free throw line.
It continues to be the ball pressure up front with Auburn. They really felt like they could bother Georgia's backcourt and their bigs. As Pettiford, Janai Broom thought he had a 2-on-1 situation. Pettiford decided to take it himself. But he's going to log some big minutes at point guard with Denver Jones, or has logged some big ones here when Denver Jones picked up that 4th.
So Tahad Pettiford at the free throw line. We're talking with Bruce Pearl about his team today. Echoed what Chad Baker-Mazara said, what Janai Broom said. The difference last year, this year, everybody really pulling in the same direction. He goes, I got guys that have worked so hard, that play with a chip on the shoulder. Pettiford is the only McDonald's All-America on this roster. He's the 7th in school history. And nothing against Pettiford. He is an elite player, but everybody else on the floor has really worked hard, second opportunity of their college basketball lives, to earn this opportunity.
And I think surrounding Pettiford with guys with a chip on their shoulder allows him to not become complacent and just rely on his talent.
Abson got the ball fake, but no whistle. That's part of the scouting report on Justin Abson. And that would have been Cardwell's 4th. So here's Pettiford. He's from Hudson Catholic, Jersey City, New Jersey. Rated the number 2 point guard in America. He had a high school game against Memorial where he went for 43.
And really only 2 scores on the court right now for Auburn, and Georgia knows it.
Demery threw the interception. Kane takes it away. And Blue Kane now into double figures. 8-point contest.
And I think that's where he can continue to get better, finishing around the rim. He's a sneaky good athlete. Get in there off 2, seek contact. He's finished a couple here in the second half.
8 points and 4 boards for the sophomore from Knoxville. Taken away by Silas Demery Jr. Into Pettiford to earn the whistle. 3rd personal on Tahad Pettiford.
Well, and there's a lot of pressure on Pettiford right now. He's got to be able to handle that pressure from Demery. But this is not their best ball handling lineup for Auburn. And so you see Pettiford here. There's Demery. He's just going to be active hands, gets a couple steals a game. They knew it coming in. You've got to be careful and value the ball. But Auburn typically has 2 guys, if not 3 on the court that all have or can play point guard. Right now they've only got 1.
Silas Demery Jr. was a great defensive back on the football field. Said that's where I got my great hips. It allows me to stay with smaller guards, and he had the takeaway that took him to the free throw line. His dad, Silas Demery Sr., played football at Power Valdosta State. One more coming for Demery Jr. Second best free throw shooter on this Georgia team. Knocks them both down.
I've been really impressed. It has not been a pretty game for Georgia, but it's been an intense, hard-fought scouting report. I think has been executed on the defensive end, and they're giving themselves a chance under 10 on the road against number 1.
15 points from the free throw line, 15 of 47 for Georgia. Kelly the lob. Cardwell had it knocked away. Great defense by Dylan James. Here's Blue Kane. Skip pass, James walked with it. Unforced error for Georgia. Turnover number 13.
Well, Auburn was looking for that lob dunk to Cardwell. That's where he eats. And as they recover back, and a little bit of a forearm in his chest, wasn't able to quite reach out to get that lob dunk. But Bruce Pearl, I think, with a good substitution, get another playmaker in, Baker-Mazara, to go with the shooter, Miles Kelly.
Beautiful pass, threading the needle. Pettiford found Cardwell.
And just by having Baker-Mazara on the court, the spacing is so much better for Auburn to sneak into the paint there and slip for Cardwell.
Auburn shooting 60% from the floor in the second half. Nearly doubling the first half rate. Asa Newell with the 3.
Well, the percentages show that he's not a great three-point shooter, but when he just hit one from that same spot, you must treat him like a shooter. That's too short, too slow of a closeout.
And all of his threes this season have come from the top of the key or the right side, none from the left. Pettiford left alone. Can't cash in. Hudson the rebound. Challenged by Newell. And a step on the end line and another Georgia turnover. 14th of the game for the Bulldogs.
Well, Auburn's ball movement, their spacing, this is why they're so good. Look at the slips. Everybody knows where each other is going to be. And then Newell rolling out to break once again with a big-time three. Is that 2 breaks in a row for Newell taking us? Well done.
Right now, Jalen Withers with 16. Tar Heels trying to follow up the win against NC State from earlier in the week. And SMU, a critical game, but down 15 on the ACC network to Clemson right now. Tom Hart will keep you updated on these scores throughout the course of the afternoon.
Thank you, Kevin. Nothing is in a bubble. Your tournament hopes not only land on your shoulders, but other teams do, and some bubble teams missing opportunities today.
L today, W, question mark, question mark. Let's see what the Hogs did as well. Man, and this is, when I look at Georgia Wake Forest, for example, it's exhausting if you're a team like Wake Forest where you got so few quality win opportunities left that you're just trying to avoid these landmines like they faced at NC State today. And Georgia, you're exhausted because you're playing a top 10 team every other night, but at least you're getting the opportunity.
Oh, Janai Broome picking up the trash and turning it into treasure. He's got another 3-point opportunity, now 1,500 points in his Auburn career, and it came off a block shot.
And would you say Janai Broome has been great this afternoon? It's hard to say because it hadn't been overly impressive. Then you look at the stat sheet, you're like 22 in 11, and he's shooting over 50%. I mean, this guy just keeps coming at you all game long, and Bruce Pearl is so good at keeping his guys fresh throughout the course of the game.
He limits even his stars playing time. Here's Kane. Keep him fresh not only within the game, but a long discussion with Bruce today at shoot-around revolving the value of the SEC championship game. They played through Sunday last year. They knocked off Florida. It was a grind even to get to Sunday. By playing in the SEC championship game, win or lose, it cost you a day of rest, a day of prep. Then you had to get on a plane, fly across the country to Spokane.
Yeah, and what he does as good a job as anybody. Look at Janai Broome. He leads the team at under 29 minutes per game. So it allows his team through this gauntlet of the SEC or the conference tournament, as you're alluding to stay fresh. And he told us earlier, he goes, man, I've really backed off on our practices. Like, we're practicing every day, but it's a lot more about the psychology, the scouting report, get your stretching in, get your shots up. They have not been going extremely hard. And, for example, you've seen, it was just a week ago that we had that memorable 1 versus 2 game. It's been a long week for these Auburn Tigers, but they're staying as fresh as possible, and that's been a Bruce Pearl staple his entire career.
Team high 14 for Silas Demery Jr. Here's Baker Mazar off the screen, kicks it out. Pettiford had it knocked away. They'll stay with Auburn with 16 on the shot clock.
Pettiford struggled to find his rhythm. He went off against Georgia last time. He had 24 on the road to help with Broome's absence. He is 0 for 6 right now, just 2 points, trying to find his stroke.
He and Denver Jones have just about split the minutes at the point guard position today. Lob to Broome, cashes in again. 25-point performance for Janai Broome. The lead back to 8. Georgia is going to need to knock down some shots. Here's Demery. Georgia shooting just 38% a game. And they are now 5 of 16 from 3, but Newell picks up another bucket to get him to 15.
And that's where you see him being such a pogo stick. He can get off the court 2 times as fast as you can jump off the court. He's just an exceptional athlete.
And kids, if you don't know what a pogo stick is, just look it up on TikTok. Here's Broome, passed on the 3, went with the drive and the flush.
And Hudson cleared the way for him there. Gave Broome that open driving lane.
SEC high 27 for Janai Broome. Shot clock at 6. Whoa! Dylan James makes his first bucket, an emphatic one.
They won't go away. If I'm Mike White, I'm thinking about going back to that zone because Auburn solved it a little bit to start the second half, but it's what worked for them in the first half. And here you go.
Remember, Auburn had only faced 12 possessions of zone all season coming into this afternoon. Georgia unable to protect the glass on the zone. Jaheim Hudson had the rebound.
Well, just a bad closeout here, and there's no help side because of the post clearing out space. Janai Broome does a nice job just turning down that three, and then Dylan James, big-time athlete. That help is way too late, and business decision by Broome, so you're not going to put me on a poster.
Todd Austin will try to clean it up as Surreal and Broome get tied up. And Don Daly says we got a timeout. Georgia will stop the clock and talk about it. 5:27 left for Georgia to make a statement. Bulldogs trail number 1 by 6. From just down the road of Toomer's Corner, you're watching the SEC on ESPN. What a day in college basketball, and it rolls on next. Carl Ravitch, Jimmy Dykes, and Dick Vitale have the call. 6:10 Eastern start for number 17 Kentucky up the road in Tuscaloosa to take on 4th-ranked Alabama, trying to get right. 2-game losing streak. Mizzou had a fantastic win against Alabama. Dennis Gates' squad will be in Fayetteville, try to sweep the Hogs. And BYU, coming off of a whitewashing of Kansas, goes to Tucson to take on number 19 Arizona to close it out. Tom Hart, Dane Bradshaw, Mike White using a timeout. Auburn is in the 97th percentile in the nation on baseline out of bounds.
You've got to keep an eye right here to screen for the inbounder. They really like to get him the ball. Flex screen. Boom.
There's Broome. The lefty loses it, gives it back out to Baker Mazzara. Now 7 to shoot. 5 on the clock. Fade away, 1 foot, no. Broome there. And he is a human eraser. He cleans up a lot of mistakes. And Jones with the left-hand push shot.
You just think about the opportunity where Georgia has played so well defensively and couldn't finish the possession. I go all the way back to that Baker Mazzara corner 3 at the end of the shot clock. You get the floater there. It's a different ball game if they collect those defensive rebounds.
Asa Newell knocks down another. This is a 6'11 freshman who has made 3 threes today. He's got 18.
And he was very quiet in that first half. 15 of those 18 here in the second half, including all 3 triples you talked about.
Georgia's sitting in the zone. Broome has dissected it with his passing. Spin move. 2-hand jam. Went right by the freshman. 29 now for Janai Broome. 3 off of his career high. Kane can't find any space. 6 to shoot. Surreal kicks it out. Kane with 3. Hand in his face, rattles it home. Huge 3 for Blue Kane, his second of the contest, and Auburn clinging to a 4-point lead.
Probably the most difficult look he's had all night, but clutch at the end of the shot clock.
Auburn only scored 67 points in its midweek win against Arkansas. This has been an offense not as efficient as we've seen, and Chaney Johnson off the Janai Broome assist.
Well, the second half adjustments, they have knifed up Georgia in that zone by simply getting Janai Broome the ball right there in the middle of the paint.
Georgia has made 4 of its last 5 threes. Shot clock at 7. Silas Demery with the drive. Tough 2. Offensive rebound to get Newell for the push-off, I believe. Nope, it's going to stay this way.
Well, Auburn is just at their best when things go through Janai Broome. You can run plays for him, and if you don't bring a double team, he says, come on, don't disrespect me like that. A freshman down low with no help, forget about it. And then shows you his point center skills. You bring up help, he dishes it off. Chaney finishes the rest.
Some moments ago, the Hall of Famer Dick Vitale in the house, set to be on the broadcast of the Sonic blockbuster between Kentucky and Alabama. Crimson Tide off consecutive losses. Kentucky 5 wins against AP top 10 teams this season. Tom, it's underway on ESPN News. You'll see it here next.
Thanks. Alabama not playing great defense. They allowed a $110 to Missouri. They're allowing over 80 points a game. And this guy, Janai Broome, what can you say about him? 17 in the second half. He's been perfect shooting, and he's picked up 4 dimes since the break.
Well, this is one of those post games, if they can hang on to win, where Bruce Pearl says the difference in the game was we had number 4 and they didn't.
Yeah.
And this is why he continues to be a leading candidate for National Player of the Year. Night in, night out, target on his back. And I think also a big reason why this coaching staff and Bruce Pearl separating themselves as the National Coach of the Year, because, again, Janai Broome's success in player development is part of that analysis of Coach of the Year. This guy was at Morehead State a couple years back, and they've turned him to an all-conference player, to All-American, and to now Player of the Year right here in Auburn. I think the guy would have been successful no matter where he went. I don't know that he's an All-American anywhere else but playing for Bruce Pearl.
His career high is 32. It came from Morehead in the Ohio Valley Championship game against Murray State a few years ago. Asa Newell in and out. Blue Cane kept it alive. Surreal finds it. Demery got downhill, and Kelly grabbed his arm on the drive. And he said, count it.
And here's an interesting part, like continuation, you got to be in the shooting motion. I don't agree with this call. I think the foul occurred before he brought the ball up. Now, I'd like to see them add this to the college game because he's clearly going to score. But I think that's a call going in Georgia's favor. I see why Auburn's upset.
So 3-point opportunity for Silas Demery Jr. This is a Georgia team that has not lost a single game outside of quad 1.
How tough have the Bulldogs been on the road? How many times could this game have gotten away from them? Yet they just make big shots, big plays, and you've got to play the best 2 minutes of your life. And that could help right there.
Jump ball, and Surreal finds it. Kane passed on the 3, has it blocked out of bounds, and with 2:10 remaining, it'll be Georgia ball under the basket.
And that's where I think Blue Cane, he's athletic enough to get there. Now you got to go seek out that contact, go in to get fouled as opposed to avoid it.
Bulldogs have made 5 of their last 7 attempts. Mike White directing traffic from the Georgia bench. Says, give Silas Demery room to operate. Pull up. No good. Missed opportunity for Georgia. Baker Mazar the spin. And a kick. Baker Mazar and Broome not on the same page trying to execute the play.
And I'm okay with that. Arguing a little bit, talking to one another, better than being a silent team and going your separate ways. Communicate, figure it out, and execute better the next time you get it.
That's fair, but I don't think you should have yelled at me during break the last time because I didn't get to you quick enough on the replay.
You've got away with words. Like, you don't call me an idiot. You just say that would be idiotic if you did that again. And,
oh, Dane, that's misleading at best. Chaney Johnson re-enters for Auburn. Jones, nice throw. Surreal commits goaltending. That's a 7-point Auburn lead with 1:42 to play.
And I'll stay on my Janai Broome pedestal here because the whole reason Surreal doesn't come over sooner, he's so worried about number 4. And that's what the delayed reaction is because he knew he had to compensate for 4, that he comes over there a little bit too late.
They're going to take a look at it. They call goaltending. And Don Daly will take a quick look. Headset already off. All right. We got it right. Nobody can steal the timeout. 7 point.
Don Daly, yeah, getting in and out of there.
7-point deficit for Georgia. We've discussed ad nauseum what's on the line for them. If they don't take advantage of number 1, they get number 2 Florida coming to their place midweek. The competition on the bubble includes an SMU team with 0 wins against Quad 1 teams. They missed an opportunity. SMU did it today, losing at home to Clemson. VCU has 2 wins against Quad 1 teams, and they're likely to pick up a win this afternoon. 1:40 to play. Kelly was all over Kane, and now he'll try to stay in front of Demery. Demery into Cardwell, and a foul on the drive. If it's on Cardwell, it's his 4th. It is. Got him in the head on the drive. And Silas Demery still down next to the stanchion.
Well, this is what Georgia's been needing more of getting those guards downhill. Good job by Demery. They have been outscored 38-22 in the paint, so there's just been rare opportunities to get right near the rim.
They're going to look at this and see if this rises to a flagrant foul. He got hit in the face. Bruce Pearl saying that's just a play on the ball. Don Daly to the monitor. And Demery coming off the court. And during the review, they'll have time to get him right. They certainly don't want to lose him. He's a great free throw shooter. There is no blood, and that actually plays into whether or not Georgia can dictate who would shoot the free throws with a reserve. Watch the follow through from Cardwell.
To me, that's incidental. He's got his eyes on the ball. He's looking to swipe down to get that block. But let's see if it's excessive. That extra swing down is where they could elevate it, but I'd be surprised if they did.
After review, 44's arm straight up and made a play on the ball. Common foul.
Now the officials will discuss whether or not Demery can shoot the free throws. There's blood all over that towel. And if he can't continue, then Georgia can choose who could shoot the free throws based on the fact that there's blood from Silas Demery. Player bleeding or flagrant foul, the injured player's head coach chooses any player to shoot. Demery's going to stay in the game. He says, cut me, Mick. They shoved a cotton swab up the nostril.
This kid's been an absolute warrior in this game. I loved his energy. He didn't play great in the first half, but before the ball was even tipped off, I mean, he embraced this crowd. His head was bobbing. You could tell he was ready for a fight, and he has brought it. This guy's logged 37 minutes. The past 2 outings, he's been right at 40 minutes and 39 plus in another one. So he has just been an absolute dynamite competitor for Mike White at the point guard spot.
4-star recruit. He was a huge win on a recruiting trail for Mike White. And missed many. Down 7 with 1:26. Surreal returns for Georgia. Georgia's got some great wins on their resume. Knocked off Kentucky, knocked off St. John's. But in their basketball history, they've never beaten number 1. 1 of 2 for Demery. LaFuse subbed out for James. Georgia puts full court pressure. And we got a whistle before the ball was inbounded. A hold charges Silas Demery.
That's the right call. There was a jersey pull right in front of the official. Right when he turns right there, you see that. You got to blow the whistle there. Well done. Takes away an opportunity for Georgia to sit down and get a traditional stop and send a good free throw shooter to the free throw line. That's another thing Auburn certainly has down the stretch.
That was the 4th personal on Silas Demery Jr. And Jones knocks down the first.
When you look at all this, Tom, my goodness, you got guys down the stretch, and as an opponent, you were trying to sit there and say, all right, this is the worst free throw shooter. Get in his hands, foul, foul, foul. But, man, they got some guys that can knock them down. Chris Moore hadn't been to the line as much as the other guys. But typically the players they're closing the game out with have all the confidence in the world to knock those clutch free throws down.
Denver Jones coming up big down the home stretch. Kane off balance 3. Newell followed jam. Nobody got a body on the big fella. He's got 20. Full court pressure again for Georgia.
I mean, everybody else is playing on hardwood. He's playing in a jump park. This guy's unbelievable with his bounce.
Now Broome. We approach 1 minute, and we got a stoppage by Don Daly with a clock issue. The shot clock never got reset. Does this help Georgia or hurt Georgia? You get another chance to set up your pressure.
I'd say, if anything, maybe it helps Auburn a little bit, because we talked about how they traditionally don't like guys playing over 30 minutes, but due to foul trouble, they've had 3 players 32-plus minutes. So for them to kind of catch their breath, draw up their play, it's been a long week for these guys when you go back from the Alabama game to the close call here against Arkansas.
After review, the clock did not stop properly. We'll have 26 seconds on the shot clock, new 10 seconds to get it across.
And you heard Don Daly. The key there is a new, fresh 10 seconds to get it across the timeline. And they'll inbound it from the baseline. Not from point of interruption where Broome was outside the three-point line. Auburn has turned it up in the second half, led by Johni Broome, who's got 31 points and 59% shooting in the second half. And they're trying to finish strong, just as they did against Arkansas when they closed on a 10-2 run against John Calipari's team midweek. Auburn has made 7 of its last 9. What a half for Broome.
Don't forget, the last time these two teams met in Athens, Georgia was down and rallied to give themselves a chance.
Mike White can't believe he just got whistled. LeFew got whistled for the foul, and he is very, very close to getting teed up based on his response. This arena isn't quiet very often, but it was when the whistle blew, and you could probably hear Mike White's response.
And I'm sure Mike White is saying, hey, look, even if his arms are around him, we could call that every single play. But when it's a dead ball situation, officials are locked in on just those two. It becomes a little more obvious. I understand Mike White's frustration. Like, hey, I'm just trying to be physical and beat guys to the spot and get a turnover in my press.
5 points for Denver Jones in the last minute. Auburn 15 of 21 from the free throw line today. Their competition, at least Johni Broome's competition for the National College Player of the Year, Cooper Flagg, will be at Madison Square Garden tonight in a non-conference tilt against a banged-up Illinois team. LeFew with an air ball. And a Georgia turnover. The jungle, it's all the noise and none of the mosquito bites.
Yeah. We do a little offense-defense substitution. Baker Mazzara getting the crowd into it, but we need to focus on getting this ball and not turning it over. This is where Georgia came back last time to make it close in Athens.
Yeah, they had 2 looks at under 5 seconds, a missed 3 and a missed putback from Newell. And outside of the 2 losses for Auburn this year, to Florida and to Duke, it was the toughest test the Tigers had faced. It came without Johni Broome, who missed 2 games in the middle of conference play. Baker Mazzara will trigger. Dumps it off to Jones, fouled by Kane.
For Janai Broom has just been an absolute monster, particularly in the second half. That's a pick and pop situation. He got hot from 3, and then you don't double team him down low, and he looks at you like you're crazy. And look at him run the court, get that great pass from Baker Mazzara. I mean, this stat line, 19 points, 7 boards, 4 assists, 7 for 7. And guess what? That was only in this half. Most people would kill to have that sort of career night, and he did it in one half. He's really taken the game over.
He said, I am the man. He's a guy who came in with a sterling defensive reputation, was the OVC Defensive Player of the Year while at Morehead State as an elite shot blocker. Set a school record for blocks with Morehead. And he has turned into an elite offensive player.
Well, he continues to help with the rim protection, but he has got a squad around him defensively, led by Stephen Pearl, the defensive coordinator, Coach Pearl's son, that has made Auburn not just an offensive team, but a well-rounded complementary basketball.
Broom with the rebound. And he has it knocked out of bounds. It'll be Georgia basketball. Broom ended up on the Georgia bench. To Tuscaloosa for the Cats and tied as soon as we finish.
I tell you, Tom, doesn't this Georgia team looks like an NCAA tournament team to me. I mean, you watch these guys, and they're just not a top 10 team. Nobody's arguing that they are. But when they're playing top 10 every other night, they've been coming up short. But you can't tell me that this team right here isn't good enough to be in the NCAA tournament. They've been terrific under Mike White, making more progress every year he's been there. But they've got a few opportunities left. They got Florida they got to knock off. But right now, it's about Auburn saying, hey, we got unfinished business. We got a 2-game lead in the SEC, and we're not letting go of it.
38 seconds left. Double-digit lead. And Miles Kelly to the free throw line. One more coming for Kelly. Denver Jones had scored the last 8 for Auburn. I'll repeat the gauntlet for Georgia. This is, of their last 14 games, the 7th top 10 opponent that they've faced. Those are all of the games since January 1st. 14 of them, and half have come against top 10 opponents. And oh, by the way, they get Florida next. So you can look at that 2 ways. Another tough test and another opportunity. 10-point lead, 31 seconds to play. We'll be back to Auburn in just a moment. Dane had a very pedestrian first half. Turned it up big time in the second. They're projected to be the first overall seed. 14 quad 1 wins. That is unmatchable.
And you think about it. I mean, they are known for this home court advantage and how well they play at home. But gone are the days where anybody used to criticize, can they take that show on the road? They have not lost on the road in SEC play. The most historic conference season we've had.
Broom touch ahead. Kelly will wisely pull it out. Auburn will go to 25-2 on the season in firm command with, after today, 4 games remaining in conference play at 13-1 in the best conference college basketball has ever seen by the numbers. Asa Newell with the foul. And Georgia will try to find a win. Meanwhile, 25-win season in the last 8 years. What a job Bruce Pearl did building this program.
He's a future Hall of Famer. He has won everywhere he's been and won big and been responsible for arguably the best eras everywhere he has stopped. And anybody that's followed his career, you say, hey, is it remarkable what he's done at Auburn? Yes. Is it unbelievable? No, because you've known who is running the show here and how he's ignited this fan base and this program. It's been sensational.
Well, I think you have to go back to really appreciate it, go back over a decade to what this program was and what it's been built to. This incredible home court advantage. It'll be the 56th win in the last 61 games here at the Jungle. Number 1, wins by 12. Janai Broom carrying the Tigers.